to take a win off of SKT this time around?
I think you have to take a serious look at the pick ban phase they went to, because their composition kind of had these two halves. They have two great divers in Echo and Poppy. I don't really like Echo mid lane at the moment. I think it was a little bit of an overreach against Azir. But then you have Nidalee Soraka. So you have two people that want to all in commit to these fights, and then you have two people that want to play the long drawn out war of attrition and, you know, keep you topped off, balance around objectives. So I just think that the 1-3-1 wasn't well enough set up. And then when they went to these big team fights, half the team wanted to do backline dives and really be hectic, and the other half of the team was kind of just not on the same page.
So the 1-3-1, though, is still a strategy that they have at their disposal. What other champions, since Ryze is on the ban list right now, that they could utilize for that?
I think the fact that they picked Echo and Poppy is a symptom of the larger problem, right? That I don't actually think they have a solution to. It's basically the same draft they wanted to do against TSM in the NA Finals, where they put Echo in the mid lane because it's who he's answered to in Azir. And to his credit, he equalized the laning phase against Faker and actually had some pretty good team fights. So I think that was the best shot CLG's going to get. And if they could actually get the same draft again, I think they take it. And just play with a little bit more chill, not give up 3 kills in the early game, and actually try and play it a little bit later. And then I think they'd have a chance.
Yeah, if you look at some of the things they did, CLG lost the game, but they get a lot of information from this game. They know which plays worked and where they were clearly overreaching and how SKT was waiting to punish. If we go into the micro of pick and bans, I would like them to see the drop the third ban there on the Maokai. Ban out the Azir preemptively. You now have learned that SKT will third ban Ryze. And then otherwise, if they match the Maokai, you get a Ryze. If not, you will give Faker Ryze, but you get yourself a Maokai that you can deal with it in team fights, and you can still play something else. I think we need to step away from the Ryze Azir and maybe open up mid lane a little more to see if there's not as damaging picks, because the Azir did so much in his game for Faker.
Right, but if we open up the mid lane, then we don't get to continue to open up the support pool. And I want to know what comes after Nami.
6
of all
support bans?
things. Yeah, exactly. Annie, maybe?
Support in Italy? I don't know. We're out of supports at this
all
point.
Right. Well, in terms of strategy for SKT, I mean, obviously they did get the win in Game 1. And Jad, I know you had hypothesized that perhaps SKT didn't even throw their best foot forward yet in Game 1. So do you expect them, or how do you expect them rather, to turn the screws here going into Game 2?
Yeah, a lot of it just seems, you know, when Koma said we'll make them fear physically, mentally, and spiritually, like that's kind of what goes into it. CLG gave him a really good shot and even had a few windows, and that didn't work. And it feels always like SKT just play cleaner and learn you over the duration of a series. Like SKT's pick and ban will change. It might even be better. And we've seen this story play out so many times where the Korean team has the first game that looks close, and the rest of the series gets progressively worse. That's what I'm afraid of for CLG.
Yeah, the biggest thing that SKT learns, like, I mean, if Echo is your response to Azir, SKT can first pick that champion, like on red side, like first rotation Azir every single time if it's not banned, because they're not going to fear that counter matchup whatsoever as this series progresses.
Well, a few ideas of how CLG can claw their way back into it as we head back to Quickshot and the guys for Game 2. Darshan tells us that if you want to win, it's all about looking forward, not back.
I think it's always important when you're playing a team game that you have to realize that no matter what happens in the game,
So if the bans do not change, do the picks change at all? The Echo Flex is already locked in. Azir Ezreal was the first rotation in game 1.
Yeah, you can go Azir Ezreal again, or you can go like Azir Soraka if you want to take that away from Aframo. I think the Ezreal pick is very key for SKT. Again, they know CLG just have the option to play aggressive, and they want to be able to play defensive and reactive and then just scale up.
I love it when
exactly
both teams are confident that what went wrong was play.
My only problem with CLG's comp in the last game is I feel like they picked too much for each individual lane and not for the team composition. People are cheering, they find it very funny, and it's going to be the same. Yeah, it's going to be the same.
The crowd loves it. Nami's locked in. GG, Re, let's do it again.
All right, so right off the bat, things we're looking for. Darshan, not to suicide solo. Aframu got picked off quite a few times. He's got to watch his positioning on Soraka a lot more. And I actually, on SKT side, we could see more out of Blank than we saw in the last game.
But again, with CLG's composition, the problem they ran into once we got out of the laning phase is the fact they want to play on 3 lanes at once. But when you're against a Trundle, that lane is kind of blocked, because Trundle will beat both your guys in split push, especially because Echo will go Abyssal Scepter. That means you have one lane you're losing in the side. You will never have pressure in the mid lane, because that's an Azir sitting there. You only have one lane where you can actually pressure with your teleport against technically no one. That's the lane CLG got to play around, and then you need these flanks with TPs in behind SKT when they try and take Dragon, when they try and siege. If they can't pull it off, they will lose again.
Well, we're going to find out if CLG not only can play their team compositions better, as you can see both Sixel and Koma, gigantic smiles on stage.
Didn't even need a new page, just like same thing.
The thing that I love is both of these teams have got great support staff behind their players, and it's a big part of the reason they are successful. Now we see whose support staff can feed that information to their players and which players can make actionable changes. You guys know the deal at home. Jump onto Twitter. Same picks, same bans, but a whole game worth of information.
Same players.
But subs are here, but they're not being pulled in, Kobe.
Not yet.
Not yet. Not yet. Everyone was wondering if Bengi was going to get pulled in. You can see the trophy on screen. North American LCS CLG are down 0-1 in this best of 5. And some shaky, nervous plays in the opening game of the set cost them some control. Let's see if they can fix it. Deficio, one thing you did praise was a little bit of a read on Blank's early game. Challenging around that Raptor, trying to push into the jungle, but then they bit off more than they can shoot.
Right, I mean, SKT, as we talked about, when they have lane swaps, like to move Blank into the enemy jungle on the opposite side, so like down here near the Raptor camp, enemy red buff, see if you can steal that away in the swap. But as we talked about, Aframu invaded, push him off, invaded into his jungle, delayed it. We're basically setting xMithy up to become a monster in the jungle against a very underfarmed Elise, but then all the kills happened.
And again, CLG do want that lane swap, but they don't have deep wards to work with.
Change from the previous game. There was a number of wards placed. No shuffle just yet, although you can see Stixxer and Afro retreating to the jungle, and with Darshan coming down, it looks like that lane swap will be initiated.
And it's an interesting thing because 2v2, CLG will actually do fine. But it's a 1v1 for Darshan where they're so afraid of the Trundle because he will destroy the Poppy, obviously. We see a very standard start here from xMithy in Italy. You trap up your Wolf camp and your Raptor camp. You start Wolves. You're doing really fast. You go to Raptor, then you can invade an enemy.
Good damage from Huhi, but the support from Wolf. And Huhi played very aggressively during the course of the laning phase on that Echo.
Yeah, SKT also trying to start both sides here. Everybody's going to go down to the lane swaps, and it will be pretty standard, it looks like.
Well, they're keeping Wolf near this Raptor camp because, again, they know xMithy's trapping up 2 camps, gonna fast lit them, and then potentially go to the blue buff of SKT and then challenge their Elise. That's why Wolf is staying around. He saw the traps, he knew what was happening, and that's a very smart start because it now shuts down the early push xMithy was going to have towards that enemy blue buff.
Oh, more burst damage from Huhi. Gets the Thunder Lords as well as the Z drive and backs away. Let's see what sort of control this gives him early on, because Faker can just sit back and farm nice and safely. I'll find out. Another dash, phase dive forward. Time Winder secondary proc won't hit, and Faker is still under pressure.
Now we just get standard swap from CLG. Darshan is already on top side. Obviously also xMithy is getting the jungle up here. No risky plays by SKT's jungle and AD carry, or jungle and top laner.
The main thing is that CLG are a half a wave ahead here. They are going to get the tempo advantage, as Crepo likes to point out.
I mean, it's a thing we talk a lot about normally. The tempo, it's so important when you have these standard swaps where you keep trading out of turrets, because eventually you will get to a tower way before the enemy team, and you can take that tower down and they can't really do anything in return. SKT, though, as a team, if there's a big criticism for them normally, is I feel like in lane swaps they actually do not understand the tempo part, or they don't care about it, and often end up falling behind there. But you can see they're making up for it. Duke is down here with the trundle, hammering away on the tower.
Red buff very slowly secured there by Xmithy and Aframu. Tower secured by CLG. Not that big of a tempo advantage, I think, with CLG committing to the jungle.
Every little bit counts here, especially with the top laners.
I mean, we're normally just talking like 5-6 seconds is a good advantage. When we're talking the first tier 1 tower, it basically means there's less time for Duke to sit and farm up some of these minions here. Trundle as well does not have any AoE wave clear at this point, so you can only get a few minions, and then he has to just retreat once he sees the enemy AD carry and support show up. You can see Stixxay getting spotted on that ward down the bottom lane now. So Duke knows, okay, get a few minions, and then he just has to back away.
Also keeping track of the junglers in this swap. There are extra camps for Xmithy, and he's already one ahead of Blank on the Nidalee. Once she gets the early lead, it doesn't stop.
Faker, of course, trading again continuously with Huhi. Still a flash available every time Huhi uses a cooldown. Faker just steps forward, contests each and every CS. But Duke and Darshan, in terms of this lane swap, they're even continuing just farm out and play a pretty standard lane swap thus far.
Yep, just gonna push in for next tower. Wolf getting the interrupt. Good for him again. Slows down Darshan and how fast he can recall and return to bot lane, because he always wants to go bot lane now. So he's there when the tower dies and he can get the full amount of gold, and obviously he doesn't fall as far behind. It is important. It's all these small things that happens in these swaps.
Some changes from the previous game as well. Cult's picked up by both ADCs. Boots of Swiftness already for Darshan. He's already relocating to this bottom lane. You can see Duke slightly ahead in terms of repositioning his lane priority. And an even start. No early mistakes from CLG, but no over-aggressive plays either there, Kobe.
Yep, exactly. Pretty standard lane swap for both sides. Huhi's doing well in the mid lane versus Faker.
And now the big question is, because this tournament so far, we've seen quite a lot of teams value Dragon in these lane swaps. So they would then take the bot tower for CLG, realize they were ahead in tempo, and then run down and start taking a Dragon while they give up the Rift Held to SKT. But that is something that has started here at MSI, not something we have seen a lot back in the LCS before, and where you would then instead recall and go top and then push for the enemy tier 2.
And that is a crucial part of what CLG would like to be able to use when they want to set up those flanks later in the game. If you have priority on Dragon, whoa, Fuhi in the mid lane.
Hold that thought. Exhaust is already used. Teleport coming down from Darshan. He actually finishes it. Faker's flanked. Forced to flash. Xmithy chases with his own. Pouncing forward. Stixxay's looking for first blood and finds it.
Very greedy gank by SKT. They're chasing down towards the bottom side of the map where we have so many CLG members. Xmithy, though.
He's got no flash, remember. Bang's looking to chase. Aframu comes forward. The Equinox will silence Wolf temporarily. Darshan's the one that's bitten off a little too much, and he's forced to back away with a flash blown.
But again, the big mistake here by SKT, you know there's so many guys on the bottom side. You can never chase down towards that river and they'll lose a kill.
Yep. Okay, so it is going to be a lot of give and take. We'll go over that after we get back to the main stage. Here is the replay, and this is because, you know, Faker is trying to run down to CLG's side of the lane swap. This is something you always have to keep in your mind as a mid laner in lane swaps. It's not really your side of the map retreating down to the bottom there. But yeah, so what I was going to talk about is what CLG traded for that is a lot of farm here on the Trundle. Duke remained top lane. He has teleport advantage as well. Now, Trundle is already a champion that can bully Poppy solo 1 versus 1, so they do not want to have Darshan meet up with him. And the extra teleport advantage as well means that it's a very easy secure for SKT to get that dragon stacking that you talked about.
Yeah, no challenge here from Council Logic Gaming. The CS and lane advantage that Duke has built up, somewhat equalized by Huhi in that middle lane, getting the assist. And interestingly, on the 16 games that SKT have played, they've given up 9 first bloods. That's the first one onto Faker, despite all of the focus and attention that he has pulled this entire tournament.
Gonna have to see if SKT can now play around this Trundle. The Trundle with the bit of experience lead and the early Tiamat that they can try and use. Let's see.
No one is hard committing for any pushes in the side lanes anymore. Everyone is just sending the AD carry to push out a wave. On his own though, so he's just actually gonna push the minions straight into the enemy top laner. They're going to catch whatever they can. And again, that's why we've seen some changes this tournament to the traditional Western lane swap. And it's more about securing a kill in mid lane, getting an early dragon, start stacking there instead, and less about pushing for a tier 2 tower.
Yeah. Early level 1 Nami ganks, early level 1 Sona ganks.
Different things.
Exactly.
And of course, first blood in this particular game picked up by Stixay. Arguably one of the most valuable players on CLG. Giving him that BF sword and the cull, so there's a lot of power in this ADC already.
And he's crucial to the way that CLG like to play around these team fights. This is a little bit of a different look than the standard team fight from CLG. Ooh. This is, again, their look on the diving the backline, and Stixay is, you know, kind of weaving in and out, fending for himself with Aphromoo, trying to heal him and keep him upright while the two solo laners take out the backline.
But that is one of the problems about the CLG comp. If we look at like all 5 picks together, is like Soraka is going to stay in the backline, obviously, and heal. She's not going to follow you when you dive.
And we've seen that manifest itself with multiple times where Aphromoo on the Soraka's getting caught out of position. It's very difficult to position Soraka in a comp like this.
But it's basically CLG saying, you know what, we want to pick for each individual lane. And Lucian Soraka is a very strong 2v2 lane, so we're going to see if we can bully one of the lanes with it. Obviously, we know the Echo is the blind pick choice for Hui as well. So they might not have a lot of choices in terms of how they want to put the comp together. Right now, the Duke is trying to get some farm on top side. SKT needs to mirror what's happening up here. And they are trying to do exactly the same, but they're giving away a lot here. I don't really like this too much from SKT.
Well, tower should be going down shortly. Duke is looking to contest, takes a lot of damage. Stixay with that BF sword, a full channel on the culling, flashes forward, heals used as well, picks up a second kill.
And we've seen this time and time again, the CLG bot lane going for those kills, whereas SKT now trying to answer here, but Darshan gets away.
The spear lands onto Bang, and Xmithie's pouncing forward. A great defensive cocoon from Blank will buy some time. The spear, Xmithie's gonna get the prowl. His pounce is available. Elise goes up and comes down. 3 members of Counter Logic Gaming are surrounding, but Hui cannot pick up the kill. Chrono Break is available, forced to buy some time. Turns his attention onto Wolf. The exhaust will mitigate that damage. Time Winder comes back, and it's Bang on the board.
During all of that skirmish, though, the top turret did go down after the kill they got as well. Now spears are coming from CLG to try and delay SKT from resetting.
That was such a risky play by SKT. Honestly, they rely more on the individual ability in a skirmish like this to get something out of it.
And as we watch it again, it feels like something spurred on by CLG's successful play up top. And it kind of had a spur of the moment. SKT, oh my goodness, we need to answer. Blank dodges here. That's one of the bad feelings when you dodge and the person on your team behind you does not. But again, CLG, they're outnumbered here in their own jungle because of the top lane push.
But again, this is my problem with SKT sometimes in these lane swaps, where a lane swap is more than just the first tower dying. It's also what happens, you know, the following 5-6 minutes where you keep swapping lanes around. They saw Stixay build that top wave for such a long time, and yet they reacted so slowly they had to rush between 2 towers with no minions and had to basically outplay CLG to get something and instead of take the safe play.
If there was one thing CLG was good at, it is the early game, showing that they can read the map. Despite mistakes against Flash Wolves, Counter Logic Gaming up nearly 3,000 gold. They've got the tower advantage, the kill advantage, and a completed Essence Reaver for Stixay already.
Yep, one of the things that CLG were listing in their interviews as advantages they felt they had over SKT, the ability to play those early lane swaps for global advantages. As well, another thing they wanted to list was the team fighting. We saw instances of it in game number 1.
Clear focus on this mid lane. Xmithie's been spending a little bit of time. We see Afro throwing some love this way as well, and Faker continually forced to defend. As now CLG starting to group up. They pulled Stixay up here as well, so tower pressure definitely incoming on this minion wave.
Hui trying to zone them with the parallel convergence, but SKT push him off it.
Yeah, not going to find him, and Stixay gets a lot of damage down onto that tower.
Then though, SKT, because again they started losing in these side lanes before, and now under pressure. You can see Bang is all alone bot side pushing in, but that's just going to be picked up by CLG.
Obviously, yeah, the reaction here from CLG, they immediately pull back off of the press on mid and send Stixay down to collect the gold bottom. As soon as they saw Bang switch gears in the side lane, you see him try and change to try and shove it as quickly as possible. Stixay does get there in time for the cannon and the second melee.
Oh, it's just a very safe play by CLG. They're not going to lose anything by moving mid lane and just get a few hits on tower because they see the Ezreal on bottom side. Wait for him to slow push it in and then walk down and pick up the wave. So They're in control at the moment.
Yeah, and I think that's an important adaptation that CLG have made. Before we saw them go for mid lane dives at that time.
So good.
Here they go for a mid lane pressure play, but this time Faker goes down to the bottom side where SKT do have control of the jungle.
And look at all the vision. Basically opposite. CLG have got top quadrant control, pinks, a couple of stealth wards, SKT down, somewhat mirrored in that outer turret down bottom off the extended siege. But take a look, there's a setup for a dive. Counter Logic Gaming, they're looking for blood. Defensive flash and the pin against the wall. Faker's in trouble and he's down. The tower will be the focus as the hammer comes down, sending Blank away. Darshan's Chung low. Blank will be forced to run. It was Duke that caught the verdict, but the tower still stands.
Raising the tempo of the game, increasing the speed here from CLG. What we were looking for them to do in game number 2, they catch Faker off guard. No summoners burn from him, stun lock from CLG. That's exactly what I'm talking about with the Echo Poppy pick and diving the back line.
Let's see if they can do it again. Huhi throws down the convergence. The stun will not land, but Duke is pinned against the wall. Darshan is now caught off on the wrong side of the river, running for his life. Afro puts a slow onto the rest of SKT. Darshan continues to run and will get tagged by the True Shot Barrage. Now Huhi's in trouble. CLG have gone too far. Defensive flash away. Stick saves back on the front line. Faker's going to rejoin shortly too. Essence Flux tags CLG. Tidal Wave knocks up 2, and Afro's in trouble. The convergence stuns up SKT, but here comes Faker. Emperor's Divide is available. Cocoon finds no one, and CLG stay alive.
That very aggressive, over-aggressive re-engage from CLG is going to cost them their mid turret. Big punish from SKT here.
Still, again, we see some good plays by CLG, actually some very safe plays at first. Even that dive, they knew, you know, knock Faker into the wall. If we miss it, we can always just back out from this tower. But then they just want a little bit too much. This dive in itself actually is very, very well executed. You smack Faker straight into the wall with the W from Poppy as well, so no dash from Faker available. You just take the kill and you now disengage. And be happy with this, because your AD carry was on the bottom side. You don't need more than this.
Yeah, Afromu there layering the silence after the stun so that Faker can't get out. Darshan setting that one up. That's why there's such a big advantage when you have the initiative in these diving comps. CLG gonna strike back here, take up that dragon.
And that's where you always gotta go back, hindsight 2020. Shoot Faker just to flash instantly when he sees the Poppy coming, because he knows he's next to a wall and the Poppy W being active.
Yeah, exactly. He goes for the dash, which is interrupted
the greedy
by this.
play,
Exactly, saving your summoners there. But Darshan punishes. Meanwhile, though, as you said, CLG, one good play, then make a mistake right after, and SKT get the mid lane turret to open up the map.
Well, what does this mean for the state of the game? Still a gold lead in the advantage of Counter Logic Gaming. The towers and dragons are bang on even. And SKT have still got that monumental advantage with Duke's Trundle. He's still up 20-odd CS. We know how he's going to be able to out-duel the answers CLG can put forward.
Right, and it would be the same if he was even in farm. He would still be able to win that 1v1. He's building purely for 1v1 with the Ravenous Hydra, as well getting that sustain after Titanic nerfs happen. So it's basically about where can Huhi go on the map now. If you keep Darshan in the Trundle lane just to play defensive, Huhi is the man you send to the side lane to put pressure on Bang. And you try again, play the map. Do not just run straight mid on to Faker, because he will punish you.
Exactly. They need to play with the double teleports here, look for those flanks. They have the teleport advantage ×2, since their mid laner has it as well. And they want to try and catch Faker off guard again, jump on him like they did before. Now we need to look at it from SKT's point of view, though, completely the opposite.
Definitely, yeah, because obviously SKT wants to team fight with the 4 members in the mid and have the one guy split pushing in a 1-4 composition. So for them, if they can ward up the river and just kind of play reactive at the moment, it's fine. Once they start seeing Huhi split push on the bottom side, though, they need to be ready for these TP flanks to happen. They need to be ready to make a play themselves, but know which wards are behind us, how can we avoid a potential engage. That's where Nami does well. If someone TPs on a ward, you can actually time it with Bubble or Tidal Wave and stop that flank then.
All right, going to help out if Wolf is in the right place at the right time. There's not a lot of deep vision for Counter Logic Gaming to make use of.
SKT going with a flank move here. Actually, they've got everybody mid.
Smithy's going to sidestep the Tidal Wave, is slowed by the Tidecaller's Blessing, and forces a flash out of Smithy, but they defend the tower.
Yeah, definitely needed kudos here for Wolf on this Nami pick. A lot of people questioning it. He's had some key bubbles. Gets a summoner spell there. SKT with the side swipe.
And this was exactly what we talked about. As soon as SKT sees Huhi on the bottom side, they can't really send anyone to stop him because they don't have a double teleport set up. So they had to make a play mid. And because CLG pushed up the tower, they actually went for the play.
Oh, Huhi CLG is not going to find the stun, but he's got a lot of burst damage. Chrono Break damage will not apply. Teleport comes down from Darshan. They're going to continue to fight. Faker forced to flash away. Now Hui's running for his life. A pin against the wall from Darshan, and he gets the kill. The wind-up, the hammer. He sends SKT away, and they find a kill. They find a tower, and CLG break it open.
And that opens up the map because they strike on the bottom side. All of SKT reacts. They collapse down there. Then CLG moving across the map, take down the outer turret as well.
And of course, in comparison to game one, this time round, CLG make the TP plays work. They find the kill and the objective.
And this time you get the Echo in the side lane against the Azir. So Faker takes this fight, obviously because he knows he can get teleport as well, but that's a 2v2. And I want to look at Faker here just before he goes down, because Wolf is coming with heal ready, but he doesn't use the heal, tries to bubble instead, and you see the heal there in the very second. So because Wolf valued getting a long-range bubble, and he actually thought Faker was going to die instantly, I think, he didn't get to save him.
Caster curse of complementing the bubbles there. Uses it over the heal, and Faker feels the pain. Darshan with the walk-away explosion kill. Second half of the Q damage there.
And also important to note, Duke TP'd in to equal Darshan's TP, so now Hui the advantage in favor of Hui and CLG.
Same setup for CLG. Put Hui in that side lane and make sure that he knows it's only one guy he's fighting against. Now, obviously, there's no teleport to back him up from Darshan. And no need to rush 5 versus 5 if you are CLG. But if you get the flanks and you can, like, split up the fight as a 1v1, 2v2 in the middle of this big team fight,
Darshan
then CLG does well.
Does not have teleport to get out of this. So his best bet right now is to try and run them around the map and waste their time. CLG, again, we talked about before, though, trying to punish.
Oh, can he recall? Nope.
No is the answer. No flash available. The verdict will come up shortly, and some minion taxi can take place. Let's see what else can CLG take.
Exactly. They're not really in the position to punish here, so Darshan is going to go down, and SKT should probably be able to recover afterwards and go clean up the mid-wave that CLG are trying to push.
Look at the mini-map, though. Xsmithy's run all the way into the jungle of SKT and placed a number of wards. That pink ward actually has been there for a very long period of time. And CLG will at least have some options to use the TP in future.
Yeah, very big pick there for SKT. Needed gold to get right back in this. Doesn't cost them anything. They're able to recover right after.
But a big mistake.
From CLG, for sure.
Never, ever, ever start split pushing unless the rest of your team is ready as well. You want every single lane to push at the same time. So if they run 4-man bot, you just take a mid tower instead.
Exactly. The reasoning behind why CLG aren't able to punish for that. The reason we say usually when you run the team around like that, the rest of your team gets to punish on the other side. Nobody in position there to make it happen.
Just, again, a mistake we see from some top laners where they value getting that one extra wave pushed up and then don't realize the rest of the map is not in position, because it's always about pushing the waves first, make the plays after.
We'll find out how CLG bounce back. 10 seconds till the next dragon. Counter Logic Gaming still are in the lead with towers, with kills, with gold. But the next contest, the Dragon has been a pivotal point already during the 2 games.
Yeah, and another thing that we do need to look at from SKT's perspective is the vision game. Not only did they get much needed gold from that pick, but they got to lay a bunch of vision down, setting up for this Dragon, which they desperately need to work around because, again, the pink wards behind them, watching out for these flanks is very important. CLG are actually making a move up on the Baron side and just give away this Dragon. So SKT, basically, one of the other ramifications of that last play where Darshan got caught out is this Dragon control.
True Shot Barrage was used to scout the Baron. Obviously, no one from CLG was there. He set up on the bottom lane with teleport available and is going to go toe-to-toe with Duke. Duke's already used Subjugate, so that healing will be up.
Yeah.
He's forced to run for his life. Does not want this fight. Not forced to use anything more, though.
Hui tried this last game, and exactly the same thing happened.
Faker doesn't want to let him get away with it.
Oh, Chrono Break and TP are available. He's going to run for his life. Faker is looking for the kill. 2 members of SKT chasing onto Counter Logic Gaming's mid laner. Flash is coming up. TP's available too.
Echo's a much quicker runner than Poppy is, though, and Hui can buy a lot more time. Again, let's look at what our CLG trying to do on the outside. They're just waiting around and actually losing out on the minion wave control of mid as well.
The rest of CLG moving towards
but they're going to go.
Faker is going to continue to chase. Faker's going to find Hui. Exhaust has been used. Good damage, though, from Hui onto Faker.
Duke has teleport as well. Remember that.
The threat. TP available for Duke. This could be a 4v4. No stun onto Blank. That means CLG will look for the disengage. Bubble, not going to connect, and CLG back away.
The second time that SKT make a side lane pick, and CLG are not able to punish them for it. Plus, Duke continues to push on bottom. That's an extra turret on top of it.
You need patience when you want to make these plays as CLG. It's always one individual member saying, I don't care where the rest of my team are, I'm going to try and make a play in a side lane. Huhi did exactly the same thing in the last game. He tried to 1v1 Duke, he lost the 1v1, now he tried again, where one more time, the rest of the map is not in position for CLG. They're pushed down towards their tier 2 towers, so when you get caught out there, there's nothing the rest of your team can do, because keep in mind, CLG doesn't have any hard engage. Like, the only way for CLG to start a fight is a TP flank. That's one of the downsides, obviously, of running like a Soraka Nidalee combo, is that you can't really start the fights.
Yeah.
So in case, you know, or if we saw more engaged on the side of CLG and they started making these 1v1 plays, 1v2 plays, then they can force something. But that's not what that composition is supposed to do.
So Council Logic Gaming not really playing to the core tenets of their team composition. And, you know, some credit to SKT, not flinching, despite being down in goal, despite being down in some of the global plays. I want to just mention, when SKT lose games, they've lost 5 this tournament, they average a 48-minute game time in their losses. That is how hard it is to beat SKT. And despite the small advantages CLG have, they're giving away any of those early leads and allowing SKT even more opportunities in this game.
A lot of it comes down to the fact that SKT makes a lot less mistakes than other teams. Every team will make mistakes from time to time, but just depending on how many do you make.
Set up down bottom for CLG as the mid lane gets pushed off, but the 2 solos are going for the kill on Duke.
All right, Duke should walk into this convergence, realizes where it's coming down, turns his attention. That was a flash from Huhi, looking to continue to tag. Duke failed flash! That's the mistake that Official was talking about. Look at the rest of SKT. They peeled for Baron.
Yep, this time they're the ones starting Baron, but the 2 solos have teleport. So again, it's a Baron without threat, and the spear lands.
That's a lot of damage onto Wolf. The tidal wave from Nami and the bubble. Wolf is the sacrificial piece of sushi. A defensive flash. Afro gives up his life to save his ADC. Bang! Flashes and arcane ships forward to find another one. Xmithy misses a point-blank spear. You cannot afford that. Here comes Huhi. He's looking for blank. He's going to even it out. 2 kills apiece. Faker wants to reply in kind. Soldiers secure 1. Now there's 2 members of CLG looking for the kill. They take down Faker 3 for 3.
That was supposed to be a massive fight for CLG after getting that kill in the bottom lane, TPing into the Baron, but SKT, they managed to get a few kills. Stixxay, Aframu, they jump too aggressive, they go down, but still, CLG can at least get some damage on mid tower.
Exactly, Stixxay, we always talk about how aggressively he plays with this AD carry. A bit too far there. Afro has to go in to try and save him, and then they both end up dying on the outside.
Yeah, I got a little bit too hyped for CLG diving in here. Look at Stixxay.
The first dash in on just Bang to get a big chunk was advised. However, the second one there for Stixxay to go in ends up costing them huge. The solos are able to clean this up though and capitalize after, at least making it a wash for CLG. But again, SKT, actually Faker used his flash aggressively to answer that kill.
I think we just saw in the last minute how every team will make mistakes, but some teams make more, and it's also about can you punish the mistakes. Right here, massive mistake by Duke, first of all being caught out, then flashing into the wall, but then CLG couldn't punish further, and therefore SKT managed to even it out and not lose Baron.
Now, despite the even kills, CLG had to invest 2 teleports for that. The one way that their team is looking to open up the map, and now Duke can split push and teleport in to his heart's content for the next few minutes.
Right, the way that SKT want to play this game is slower and calmer. The more flashes that are gone, the more teleports that are gone, the more variables that are gone for SKT makes it much easier for them to try and play their standard team comp.
I know we're very even in this game, but CLG already showing up a little better in game 2.
The flanks are coming in without teleports.
They don't need it. The parallel convergence stuns up SKT. Tidal wave will allow a kill though onto Huhi, and CLG are forced to run for their lives. They simply didn't get the damage down. Blank was able to repel up. Stixxay still putting some burst outs.
Yep, the great stun lock there from SKT. Huhi doesn't get to get his ultimate off. I think he was just on the edge of the parallel convergence as well, and it cost CLG that play.
Good engage though from CLG, knowing Faker had no flash. But then suddenly the echo goes down. Still no hourglass for Huhi. Once he completes it, it's going to be big, because then he can start really diving in. Obviously, still, if you get bubbled or cocooned, you can't really do a whole lot. Aframo's ulti also came in after Huhi had already died. Darshan?
Whoa, very risky here. Bang can close in.
Iceborne Gauntlet as well. Darshan takes a lot of damage from Bang already. No flash, no verdict. Afro's the target. True Shot Barrage will tag him. Here comes Faker and Blank. Special delivery. Afro moves down. SKT find another kill.
One of the big things for SKT in the way they play against this Soraka with the Nami is they have these extra slows coming in with the Nami, applying it obviously with the E to auto attacks. Also the long-range ulti from Nami to try and catch this very immobile support. And see what happens here.
Let's take a look. Parallel Convergence will not be tagged. Huhi's under some threat as Duke's looking to run him down. Defensive culling up north while Huhi chrono breaks back, gets some damage. Looking for Wolf, but I think it was exhaust, so not enough damage to find the kill. And CLG give up another kill. They're hemorrhaging gold. They're hemorrhaging control to SKT.
Control around the entire map now for SKT as they're going to clean out vision around Baron and set this one up.
I was saying before this passage of play that CLG were showing up a little better in game 2 than what we've been seeing. Last time SKT played RNG or when they played against Fnatic and IM. You know, there's 3-game series.
I mean, CLG is doing a much better job than we've seen in the past against SKT. Look here.
The cocoon on the edge of the parallel convergence.
And then he actually jumps straight into the bubble right after, so he couldn't even outlast if he had it. Ends up going down.
Close
There's the ulti from Aframu coming in as well after who had already gone down. And small things in these fights, but SKT keep looking for the flanks, and they always go for Hui. When he jumps in, it's like, get the cocoon, get the bubble, it's one point of CC on him, and then try and burst him down.
I'll take a look at the goal difference here. CLG held the lead for the better part of 26 minutes. And the last few just being picked off, just, you know, chasing the loss maybe, as SKT have regained control of the map, of the game, and the gold.
And as you said before, CLG, they are playing well. You know, they are going toe-to-toe with SKT. And that's more than we saw from Fnatic if we go back to IM finals, obviously, where SKT won 3 games fairly quickly. And that's a big thing for CLG.
Aggressive move from the back line of SKT.
Let's take a look. Stixay's chunked down. Exhaust has been used. Smithy, Darshan, Hui. They're looking for targets. Blank's gone up and come down. Darshan's caught in a bubble. Flashes and QSS's away.
Duke is coming.
Are grouped up. Here comes Duke from the back. Counter Logic Gaming. They're in trouble. The spear tags bang, but it won't matter. Flash away from Stixay. Trying to kill Duke, but it will not count. Hui gets exhausted. Still cannot find a kill. That's 2 for Counter Logic Gaming. SKT are running for their lives. A chomp from Duke secures the 3rd. Stixay still running away.
A huge victory for SKT. They're going to chase down the last kill here, and that should be Baron as well for them.
Once again here, SKT, they pick the correct fights. You see them kite back at first when the engages happen from the Poppy, from the Echo, and then they land some very crucial CCs onto CLG, and always just buy more time, and wait then for your own top laner to arrive. Duke didn't even have to teleport. He ran all the way up the river.
Didn't need it, still has it available. Baron secured for SKT, a 5,000 gold lead. Wolf 0-0-10. He's been the target of CLG multiple fights in a row and has not been caught out.
So check this one out here. First, it looks a bit risky from Bang jumping in, but as soon as CLG tries to engage, everyone from SKT just kite backwards. Land one piece of CC on
and
one of the tanks, and then suddenly Duke shows up. You're bought enough time. Now you can play aggressive because the engage is gone from CLG, and they're not afraid of diving the back line because there is actually no CC from CLG to stop you once you dive. Soraka, it's very hard to land the snare. Italy doesn't offer anything. Lucian doesn't offer anything. And you have the Echo and the Poppy being busy, obviously trying to kill SKT's backline. So you see Faker every single fight. He's not afraid to just go for Soraka, go for the Lucian, because no one can lock him down.
7-4-5. Most deaths on his team, but it simply doesn't matter because the rest of the team cleans up every single time.
Yeah, CLG are working with a much smaller timing window on those team fights. Not able to take anyone from SKT down there before Duke arrives, and at that point, they've used everything.
Yeah, it's what we talked about with this composition for CLG. It looks to be 3 separate parts that doesn't really fit together because you can't protect your own backline with the front line of CLG, with the Poppy and the Echo. You don't have any CC to really stop anyone when they dive your carries. And you don't have the damage either to kill the backline of SKT because it's at Ezreal. First of all, there's an army healing and CCing as well. And Echo struggles so much when it comes to bursting down one target because he can never use ulti offensively. He needs the longer fights where everyone is split up and he can chase, but you don't get those fights.
No, he does not. He doesn't get to set up and engage either. Huhi, without teleport, Duke was able to force Darshan away. And looking at vision on the map, there's not a lot of wards behind SKT. 1 or 2 if CLG wanted to pull the trigger, but they simply aren't in a position to do so. And definitely not against a Baron up team. CLG are just stalling. Baron power play, 3,800 gold more than CLG already. Bang takes a lot of damage. Timewinder tags up multiple members of SKT, and Bang is low. Keeper's verdict will send Duke away from the tower, but I think the minions should still be able to secure it. There it is, taken down. It's coming apart at the seams for CLG Gaming.
Yeah, there's nothing Darshan can do to move this Trundle off of the turret. He's 3 levels down, 100 CS, even with Smithy coming.
Duke is going to 1v2, pinned against the wall. Now Afra's coming to join. There's no mana left for Smithy. Mid inhibitor turret is the next target that Faker has set his eyes on. And Duke, he just does not care. He's on the top lane inhib. The rest of SKT, they're on the bottom lane inhib.
Yep, and they're going to get it. This Baron buff does not time out. They're going to get both inhibitors, and SKT press in towards the Nexus.
6,000 gold on the crest. 3 inhibitors. This is a fantastic Baron power play. That's going to hit 7k. Afra moves the target. Parallel convergence will not be able to really tag anybody out. Blank is low, but it doesn't matter. Smithy forced to retreat. Duke's now forced in the front line. There was a TP in behind by Darshan. He's looking to do something, looking to set someone up, but he's got no hammer to knock people away.
They have to make a desperate play right now.
They are going to try. Fake is going to use the divide to kill Stixay. Sends the soldiers forward. SKT with the Baron minion or warring out.
They're still waiting for super minions because it's still the normal minions just buffed up by the Baron here. Maybe some kills.
5v4, Darshan forced to flash and QSS away. Parallel convergence will stop only Duke as the rest of SKT, they set their sights on the Nexus turret. It will fall in a 5v4. SKT look to take down the Nexus, look to take down CLG Gaming, and takes a few more hits, and they are 1 win away from the mid-season invitational title in 2016.
And what an accomplishment that would be for SKT and Korea. This team would be able to claim the IEM World title, the Riot World Championship title, and MSI.
Not to mention another LCK. 3rd in a row, 5th in total, consecutively.
But CLG are not a team to give up. They're going to make SKT work for it.
There's one thing that CLG have proven this tournament is they can play against all odds. They can surprise, and now with nothing left to lose, does this unlock them? Because the same strategy did not work twice.
I think CLG as a team have shown they're good enough to play the first 30 minutes against SKT, but I think their own composition hurt them. I don't think they're able to properly execute a team fight with this composition. It is too difficult to rely on your Poppy Echo to assassinate someone in that back line, while your own AD carry and Soraka can kite away from the big troll, Faker diving in every single time.
That's why we've been talking about the popularity of these Azir comps with the standard front line and the defensive supports coming in.